Desolated ruins. A thief stalks through the mist. Driven by a lust for wealth, it just cannot resist. Begone, O foul miscreant. For these are sacred grounds. The dead dwell here. This is their realm, and you've overstepped its bounds. But other things live here as well, equally concealed. So be mindful of your insolence, lest your fate be sealed.
Ladies and gents, Douglas and the Gets, it's your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself. Today we're gonna look at one of my favorite Elder Dragons of all time, the Chameleos. Thank God he is back. I don't know what Capcom was thinking by literally excluding my man from the original trio back in World. I'll tell you exactly what they were thinking. You guys remember, what was it, Elder Seal? Elder Seal existed so that way Cam would not be a thing. I'm gonna explain that in a second. So, Elder Seal, what it does is, certain Elder Dragons that have a thing about them. The notable ones being Kush, Cam, and Teostra. Their particular thing would be stopped, if you will, if they were sealed with Elder Seal. So what are those things? Kush has it to where if he gets really pissed off, has this black wind around him that forces you out and you can't really touch him ever because the black wind is just what he does. Teo, when he gets really pissed off, he has this, he's perpetually cloaked in flame, and if you get close, you burn to death. Cam, he goes invisible. How do you stop them from doing these things? You hit them with the others thing. So if you poison Kush, Kush can't go full windy. And if you're wearing Kush armor, you aren't affected by Teostra's fire. And if you're wearing Teostra armor, you're not affected by the poison that Cam actually gives off as well. See, they all like paper, rock, scissors themselves. You know what I mean? You kind of do the thing, but they took that out completely for Elder Seal. Elder Seal is dumb. If you hit the monster hard enough and pray if you hit the monster long enough, pray hard enough, the monster's special thing would stop working, I guess. Stupidest idea known to man. Capcom, shame on you. You're bad for doing this. Thank you. Cam is back. Moving over, let's talk about Cam. So, if you want to do big number to Cam, if you can hit Cam, you have to hit him in the head. Hit him in the head, bring fire or bring dragon. Either which is perfectly fine. Preferably fire though. But nevertheless, let's talk about the intricacies about Cam, since a lot of us have not fought him in quite a long time. Unless you played GU or any of the 3DS Monster Hunter games, or even further back than that. He debuted in the second generation of Monster Hunter. He's an old school monster, much like how Kush and Teo also did. They came out together. But Cam's unique thing is his poison and his ability to go invisible. Now let's explain the invisibility real quickly. So he can shoot a mist from his mouth. When he shoots his mist from his mouth, that's when he's more noted, if you will, to go invisible. Like, he'll shoot the mist and then the whole playing field will be kind of misty and foggy and kind of hard to see. Then he'll go invisible. Him going invisible is predicated on his horn. The horn on his head, the beak, the horn, whatever. It's not a traditional horn from like most monsters, but you'll see it. It's the long pokey thing from the top of his face. If you break that horn, he can't go invisible. That's not totally correct. If you break the horn, he can't go completely invisible. You can clearly see where he is. Like, it's like he's trying to go invisible, but you can see his outline fairly easily. So whenever he goes invisible, it's a little different than what it used to be. He used to go invisible and like teleport, clean across the map, and you're like, damn, I have to chase him down. This time though, he'll go invisible. You can kind of see the outline a little bit, and he'll be within close proximity to where he was before. Not a huge difference from what it was before, but it's still something to note about, because he'll still go invisible and then like go behind you, and now you have to kind of hold that. Kind of have to hold the mix of him going behind you, because it's kind of tough. Now, after he'll do the mist, he'll shoot out a ton of poison. He does poison in a grand multitude of fashions. He'll shoot poison beams, poison streams, poison balls fly all over the place. don't get hit with any of the poison. Just don't get hit directly with any of his poison attacks. Not because the poison hurts and it slowly takes your health down, but they do quite a bit of damage. Also, something to note as well, if you get hit with that foggy beam, or he'll teleport. Well, he'll go invisible, then teleport, kinda. Then shoot like a beam straight down. If you get hit with that, that does so much damage. It's insane. It's like a poison stream. Just do not get hit with it. It hurts a lot, like crazy. You think, oh, it's not gonna hurt that much. You'll get hit for like 80%. Don't get hit by it, okay? You'll know when he's doing it when he's kind of like standing tall and then he just like shoots the beam straight forward. Stay away from his front area when he does that. Please, for the love of God, just don't do that. What else is there to talk about Chameleos? So outside him going invisible and him using that as a means to like trip you up by going from one area to a completely different area, and you're like forced to kind of sit there and like, okay, I'm hitting midair, nothing but like air. You have to like be very careful about where he teleports to, because he does like to go in your blind spot. If it's not your blind spot, he'll go in a completely different area. Watch out for that. Yeah, did I talk about everything so far? I think I might have missed something. I don't think I talked about when he'll jump in the air and then he'll shoot his poison like straight down at you. Yeah, he'll kind of jump in the air, float if you will, fly, flutter, and then he'll shoot poison straight down. He also has an attack where he'll not even so much an attack, he'll use his tail to wave the poison around. So he'll drop like the poison mist on the ground, and then he'll come down and he'll just wave his tail. If he waves his tail, it pushes the poison into different directions and so on. So let's say he puts the poison in one spot, but he wants to move the poison elsewhere. He'll fan his tail and push the poison to that direction. He's a menace when it comes to the poison. That's why he's such a good monster, okay? So with that said, let's say you fight him a couple times, do a couple of good runs, and you do a bit of damage to him. Let's talk about that gear, because it's actually really good. Cam's armor is something else. It's really good. So let's talk about it. We got a lot to cover. Okay, so we're looking at Mind's Eye. Your attacks are deflected less and deal more damage to hard targets. And at level 3, 100% of your attacks not being deflected, with 30% damage to hard targets when activated. So there's certain parts of a monster's body that if you hit, you automatically bounce off. For example, we talked about Rajang's arms. If you have Mind's Eye, you smack those arms, you're not bouncing, you're actually doing more damage to those. Granted, there's certain circumstances. Like, I believe when Kieran Diamond... No. Even when Kieran Diamond's up, you can still go through a Mind's Eye. Yes. No, I think what I want to say is there's certain circumstances that certain monsters who normally don't have hard parts get hard parts. And I'm not sure if that damage multiplier still works with it, but it probably should. So Rajang's arms aren't usually hard, but when they do get hard, you should still get the bonus. It's just something to note. There's certain parts of monster that are just innately hard. I'm saying this a lot, but yeah, you can get the bonus of the damage when hitting it. Nevertheless, moving on. Ballistics. This is an ability that's actually pretty cool. So it extends the range in which ammo and arrows have maximum power. So we all know that when you use bows and guns and such, that there's a particular, I don't know if it's still the case, I haven't used gun in a while, but like you would hit the monster and the screen would shake a little bit. That's how you know you're at like a good range when you hit the monster. It just extends that. I'm guessing what it probably does is the range in which you can still hit the monster and not get that actual maximum range damage, they probably extend it to the max. So like if the gun only can shoot 200 yards, it extends the maximum crit damage range or the power range for the full 200 yards. I'm guessing, I'm not entirely sure. You'd have to like do a couple of researches on yourselves. Evade window. Evade window is really cool. It greatly increases the invulnerability window in which you can't get hit. So when you would dodge or something like that, you can iframe through certain monster attacks. It just makes it to where you have more frames to dodge through. And then you have Chameleos' Blessing. This is a very interesting ability because other elders have it as well. So it is a skill that's a bunch of skills in one. So at level 1, it sometimes increases the effects of the spirit birds. Those are the little things you pick up off the ground that give you like +4 to health or like +7 or whatever to stamina and a little extra attack and defense or whatever. It increases the effects so you get an additional, like a little more number, if you will. Level 2 negates minor and major wind pressure. So fighting normal monsters like Rathalos and whatever, when they would like fly away, and with the wind pressure, you can like, oh, instead of like cowering in fear, you're good. You have to worry about that. 3, extends the duration of your poison effect on monsters. So now if you're using poison weapons and you hit a monster with it, Kush, for example, is incredibly susceptible to poison. Let's say the poison lasts for like 30 seconds. Now it's going to last for like 45 seconds, doing an additional extra amount of damage is actually pretty cool. Now, and then the last part is it negates all wind pressure. This is the point that I was talking about. Use this full ability to go after Kush, because when Kush has the black wind, even if you have major wind pressure resistance, you're still gonna get like pushback with it. But if you negate all wind pressure, you're good to fight Kush no matter what. That's what I mean with the whole paper rock scissors thing between Cam, Tio, and Kush. There's these abilities that help you fight the other monster. Okay, poison attack. Increase your poison build by 20% and a bonus 5 to your poison. And then peak performance. If you don't get hit, you get extra attack. Pretty good armor set. I mean, it's still good. Like, Cam's armor has always been good. Always been good. Still good. I actually want to make it myself. Moving over to the weapons, however. The weapons are also pretty solid. So, when looking at Cam's weapons, we'll look at the gun lance real quick, and I'll tell you briefly about the rest of them. They kind of fall under a couple of different, what do you call them? Like, they either do big number, like the gun lance here, 220 attack, 27 poison. That's and a little bit of boost sharpness. They usually are like that. They usually have big number and solid sharpness, or they have even bigger poison and then a little less attack. So, for example, the Great Sword has like 200 attack and like 60 poison. Now, that sounds like a lot, but it's a Great Sword, so it's not gonna get that much poison. But the dual blades, however, the dual blades have like 180 attack and like 35 poison. And we all know dual blades is the greatest way to actually get a large number status on a monster. So the weapons kind of fall between that. They either do bigger number, a little less poison, or a little less number and then big poison. That's usually for all its weapon types. Minus the longsword. The longsword doesn't even have an element to it. So I don't know if there's Awaken in this game, but it doesn't have an element. It has 210 attack with 15% affinity. All in all, stuff is really good. So to wrap it up, let's completely finish Kush. Okay, so Kush is a monster who made his appearance back in the day, like I said before. Has a lot of weird things about him, a lot of intricacies, a lot of things to where, because he can go invisible, he has a crazy amount of setups he can actually provide for himself. He has poison he can use in a multitude of different fashions, but a great way to negate his poison ability as well as his invisibility ability. Well, I say this because if he can't go invisible as often, he can't create those setups for himself. So that way he can himself in turn poison you as often. If you break his horn, he loses his ability to go completely invisible, allowing you to see where he's going to move. So a lot of times when I'm playing and I'm fighting him, he'll go invisible, and I almost always get hit with the poison when he does that, because I didn't see that he went to the far left of me and then came back, hit me with his tongue attack, and then poisoned me right afterwards, and I have to hold that L. But if you break the horn, he can't full on go invisible. You can kind of see where he's going more often than not. Now, one thing I forgot to mention before is that back in the day, he would actually steal your items. That's not the case anymore, which is a huge bummer now I'm thinking about it out loud, because that was what was so super unique to not just him, but also what's that monster called? Gypceros. Gypceros will steal your items too, but Cam would steal your items. And like, let's say you have like a max potion in your pocket, he's like, that's mine too, my guy. I don't want you to have none of that, so it's all me now. He will take your items, be it your man-made items or even your monster parts. So it was pretty tough when fighting him. Now what he does instead, he takes your Speary Birds, the little bird things you pick up that give you a little attack boost, a little defense boost, and so on. So now when he steals them, he'll actually utilize it for himself. So let's say he steals the attack one. Now he has an attack buff. You know what I mean? However, if you do enough damage to him, you'll get it back. So take note in that. That's something to note, because he used to steal your items. No longer that. He now steals your little bonuses you get from the little Spear Bird thing. So that's cool. Now, outside of all those things, Cam is one of the super unique monsters in that of Monster Hunter. He's one of the ones I really think about when I really want to show people cool monsters in this game. Because, like, how cool is to have a monster go invisible? The only monster to ever go invisible was Lucent Arguhuga, and they don't seem to be in a rush to bring that monster back at all. I don't see why. That was a cool monster in and of itself as well, but nevertheless, it's not here nor there. But what's here is the fact that Cam himself has returned. He is just as good as he was before. They really haven't nerfed him too much, outside of him no longer taking your actual items and instead taking your buffs, but they kind of gave us they kind of made it good enough to where he will steal your buff and then use it for himself. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of have to have one in the hand. You know what I mean? He has to be able to take something from you. If it's not your items, he has to take something from you and then have something to do with that something, and that something is he'll take your buffs and then utilize those buffs. So I'm like, that's cool. You can still get them back if you do enough damage, so it's not like the game is being completely unfair. So with all that being said, Cam is still good. Alright guys, Cam is still good. He's still a fantastic monster to fight. You do get grand weapons and gear when you do fight him and come out with the dub. So for those of you who are probably going to really want to grind him out, because it's actually, in my opinion, full on worth it. It's very good stuff. Also, if you plan on actually grinding out any of the other Elder Dragons as well, it'd be a good, in my opinion, it's a good idea to actually start with Chameleos, make his gear first, then fight Kush, then take Kush's gear, then fight Teal'stra. If I had to pick one of the three to start with, it would be Cam, because his biggest thing is the poison. If you bring a number of antidotes, you should be fine, and it's not necessarily all that impossible, where I highly recommend you bring something like Cam's armor when fighting Kush, because of Kush's wind pressure. And also the fire from Teal'stra can be slightly mitigated, but it's still quite the bummer when fighting him nonetheless. But with that said, everyone, it's been your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself. Thanks so much for watching. My word, Cam is back. I'm really excited. I'm so happy that he was back. Like before this game even came out and they announced that he was going to be the first DLC, which I kind of felt was stupid, because like, dude, if the game's not even out yet and you're already announcing DLC that's going to be in the game, just put the damn thing in the game. The game's not even out yet. What are you talking about? You know, well, whatever. It's neither here nor there. Anyway, thanks so much for coming and kicking it. As always, the Discord and the Twitter links will be in the description. If you want to come and kick it with your boy, yours truly, please come on down. I'm a very lonely person. No, not really. But if you want to come and kick it, feel free to do so. I mean, you know, it's just us and the lads having fun. What else do we have? More videos soon. As always. With that being said, it's been your boy. Take care.